You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.
Me today, for a second, third, or fourth time probably, is Kat Davis, the Carlsbad Mainstreet Executive Director. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Excellent. Thank you. And for the first time, since I've owned the radio station, I've been hosting Community Forum, is Ken Britt. Ken Britt is retired superintendent from the Living Desert Zoo and Garden State Park. He's on the Cavern Theatre Committee. He's community development for the city and a bunch of other things as well. How are you doing today, Ken?
Can't beat it. Doing fine.
Okay. So thanks for being on. I really appreciate your time. Our primary topic today is going to be the Cavern Theatre. I know that we are fully funded on the Cavern Theatre from what I've heard. Now it's just a matter of construction timelines and getting it going after that. But I want to start with Ken. Tell us a little bit about his connection to Carlsbad, how he ended up here, and maybe why is he so passionate about the community, Ken? So why don't you go ahead and start us off with some of that?
Well, I went to work for New Mexico State Parks in about the mid-'80s. I started out at Bottomless Lakes, had the fortune to come to Brantley Lake State Park while it was under construction, and got to open that state park and worked there for 3 or 4 years and got Brantley really up and going, and then really had the opportunity to move to the Living Desert and spent almost 18 years there. It's kind of hard to believe when you think back on it now, but we were able to get the Living Desert accredited as a nationally accredited zoo during that time, and it was just a fabulous time. And I retired from there in 2013, and then I worked a few part-time jobs just to stay busy. And and then the city was needing some help with the Cavern Theatre, and that was an up-and-coming project in the city. So I ended up being the community development director for the city for a couple of years, and now I'm retired again and kind of a citizen advocate for the Cavern Theatre and for the Arts and Cultural District in downtown Carlsbad. Work real close with Kat on that, and our goal to get the Arts and Cultural District recognized as a state designated area in our community is coming real close, so we're working on that as well.
Right, Kat, we've had you on talking about that before, about the public meeting that we had related to that.
Yes.
And so do we have, that's a natural segue to, do we have another important event coming up for that?
So for that, kind of, yes. On April 14th, Friday, April 14th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the other side of Milton's, we're actually kind of going to do a little meet our Arts and Cultural Committee, as well as a pop-up art show within our steering committee of, like Ken said, he was actually he's the founding member of that steering committee. He was a huge supporter of the whole application for the state that we talked about before on getting Carlsbad to have an arts and cultural district. So it's we're going to be there providing information and update on where we're at in the progress, but also just meet some of our great local artists. We're going to have Mike Compost showing some work, Sky Soto, Bill Medina, with, as well as Red, and possibly one more artist will join us. So it's kind of just going to be a laid-back art event. You can purchase some art or just view, and as well as meeting us and getting an update on where we're at in the progress. So
I'll be able to hold a beer while I'm looking at the art?
Sure will.
Okay.
I think that's the best kind of way to look at art. I mean, wine for me, but we'll allow the beer.
All right, that works. So can you give us a quick update on how we're going on the designation of the Arts and Culture District?
Sure. Right now, we just are in the process. I am hoping hopefully actually by the 14th, we will have a semi-draft plan. The last time I met with our steering committee, as well as the professionals that we have hired for this, we refined our focus and kind of our top 5 priorities, which came from those public meetings, as well as the focus group meetings that we had back in January. So we really have a good foundation of where we would like to see the plan going. Now, once we get an actual kind of draft of that plan is when we really get down to the projects and kind of timelines and things like that.
Right. So if you want to learn more about that in person, talk to Kat Davis about it. April 14th, 6 to 8 p.m. on the other side of Milton's.
Yes.
Free admission, grab a drink, meet the artists. That's interesting. I think that's really great. There's not a lot of that floating around here, and those pop-up events tend to be very popular. So April 14th at Milton's from 6 to 8.
Yes.
or the other side of Melton's. It's right next door. I think you'll find it.
Yep. We'll have a sign just in case.
Okay, just in case, no problem. All right, Ken, let's shift back to you. I know you spent a career at the New Mexico State Parks. Your first career, were you born in New Mexico? Were you raised here? Were you transplanted here? How did you get here?
Well, I got here in a 1961 Studebaker pickup truck.
Nice.
From Wisconsin. And I went to graduate school at New Mexico State University in the very late 70s and never left southern New Mexico since. So from there to Roswell, from Roswell to Carlsbad. So it's been my home, and it's a place that my wife and I want to live. So we're here. When I got to Brantley and got involved in the community really opened their arms and embraced what we were trying to do out there. So I was just fortunate to be able to come involved and have tried to, make your campsite a little better before you leave it. So,
well, I can co-sign exactly what you said about the community. I mean, you may have come in the mid 80s. I came in 2021, and they're still equally as welcoming and equally as embracing as anybody that comes in and really wants to invest in the community, whether that's financially or just with your time. So I feel the same way, and I'm glad that it hasn't changed. So let's just shift completely right now to the Cavern Theatre. Read a little bit about the Cavern Theatre. Go ahead and tell us, Ken, just for anybody that doesn't know, we have an 80-mile radius listening area. So maybe there's some people in Carlsbad outside of Carlsbad that don't know where it's at. But tell us where it's at. Go ahead and start us off with some history, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Well, good. The Cavern Theatre opened in 1951. The actual construction was started in 1948, post-war. They suffered the same issues that we kind of been suffering lately with supply issues and having materials available. So it took them 3 years to build the theater, but it was a state-of-the-art movie palace in its day. And every time we run across people that grew up in Carlsbad, there's always stories to tell about, I remember going to the Cavern Theatre and I saw Jaws, or I saw Star Wars, or I had my first date.
Yeah, right.
And it places all those kinds of moments in your lifetime that people remember. And that's one of the beauties of bringing this back to life, is to recreate those or to create new ones for the next generations. And so it's kind of interesting. The first movie that was shown there was actually a world premiere movie, never been seen anywhere. It was a film written by a guy named Bill Malden, who was an author, wrote stories about World War II, two sad sacks in World War II, and that's what the movie was about. And I don't know if we can find that movie to show it again when the Cavern's open, but that'd be great. And then they, of course, had a second feature, and the second feature was Ma and Pa Kettle on the Farm. So it's a little bit different than what the things you see at the movie house now.
Right.
But it was one of the centers of the community. I mean, it's downtown. It's the Mainstreet district. It's in the middle of the Arts and Cultural District, the Historical District. So the purpose of this whole thing is to, number one, is to save and preserve the history of Carlsbad and rehabilitate that building and put it back to use. And that's what's exciting to me is that we're gonna save that history. We're gonna save that building. We're gonna build economic development downtown,
right,
and make downtown a destination. And that's one of the goals. And we think the theater is going to play a real strong role in that.
Yeah, people need a place to go in order to want to be there. That's not phrased the best way, but if you build it, they will come. They're not going to come down there if you're not available to walk in the facility or watch some local a play or movies or anything like that, right? It has to be there. To be a center, you have to have things downtown that are attractants, especially in the evening. And right now, downtown Carlsbad, outside of your large festivals, you do have Milton's downtown, of course, but mostly in the evening. What other draw is there down there?
Yeah, we have great dining and, live music options, but we don't really have like an entertainment facility. So this, we really feel like, is going to fill a void that we have and also kind of increase, hopefully, the need for some more dining options and things like that.
Yeah, I guess I keep forgetting that's a Trinity and Yellow Bricks and all them and an Old City Hall. All of them are within your district as well as the Arts and Culture District also, right?
Yes.
Because Arts and Culture District goes all the way to Haligüeña Arts Park?
Yes.
Right, okay. That makes sense. So if you could tell, Ken, like as I've been doing these interviews, I've been learning a lot about Carlsbad for the last year and a half. So I haven't had to really crack a book. I just get to talk to a bunch of people, which I
Sometimes
appreciate.
that's the best way to learn. So
It is, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
So yeah, word of mouth is the way to go, and then you get people's real feelings about how things are and where things are going, and I think Kat hit on a point that's important, is that the theater will actually kind of be an incubator for other industries, or not industry really, but business. The cultural industry is what we're talking about in technical terms, but we want it to be an entertainment district at night, and there's going to be opportunities for expansion of businesses down there, and that economic development important to all communities.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I look forward to that too. The wife and I have other ventures besides the radio station. We also own other businesses. So the idea of the potential of having downtown being a hotspot for something in the future. I'm not going to say anything else. I don't want anybody to steal our idea, but the idea is, the point is that it feels like there's a lot of opportunity happening down there, and there's a lot up and coming, and that's just from a perspective of a person that's lived here for a year and a half.
Definitely. Right. That makes me happy to hear. That's
Good,
for sure.
Right. Yeah, I have a fresh view compared to people that have lived here for a very long time. Ken, I want to get into the not just the Cavern Theater specifically, but theaters like this all throughout the country, and we'll relate that to the Cavern Theater specifically, because what I'm talking about is almost every town in America did have a theater similar to this, right? The film industry kind of started to blow up after post-World War II. We're still black and white films, but we're all sound at that point, And so every community needed a theater because that was the hippest, newest thing to do. So every community had a theater. This theater stopped showing movies in 1979, according to the website. So what happened around the late 70s, early 80s that kind of made these theaters no longer movie theaters?
Well, that's a question I don't know if I really have an answer to that. I mean, the advent of television, cable television, I think was just starting to come around.
Yeah,
then.
right.
You had like your mega stations, WGN, and out of Chicago, and a few stations. So I think that was kind of taken over. And the film industry was probably changing as well. Why the Cavern closed down or stopped showing films, I don't have a clue. I didn't live here then, so I don't know. But the movie industries just has changed, and a lot of the old theaters were torn down in communities across the country. A lot of them were saved. The movie theaters that were built in the same era as the Caverns, a lot of those theaters are gone now. Now you have historic theaters, for example, the Chemo in Albuquerque or the Lensic up in Santa Fe, that were older theaters that had a lot more to offer architecturally, that were preserved and saved. And there's a movement across the country, though, through the League of Historic American Theaters, an organization that the city of Carlsbad's a member of because of the Cavern, that are, that's their goal, is to try to preserve these buildings, these structures, and to provide, contemporary performances to, quality of life issues for the members of their community.
Right. I guess when you think about it, it's kind of easy to see. Think about 1951. There's no moving pictures in your house, right? There's no visuals in your house. There's the radio, which is great. I love radio, by the way, co-signing it. This radio station is from that era. But the idea is that all of a sudden, if I wanted to see video or pictures, I had to go to the theater. And you're right, 79, 80s, right? I had 4 networks at that point. But at that point, I could just stay home, right? So I'm gonna equate that to COVID and the idea of how are the movie theaters how are they surviving? They're starting to slowly come back, but before you knew it, headlining movies that would be out in the movie theater for months before you could watch it online came streaming right away, right? So that's an obvious change and a progression of the industry that then hurts the original ones, if you will, I guess. Ken, let's give some credit to the individuals. I believe that building was donated to the city, the theater was?
Yeah, it was donated by a Bob Light family. I want to say 2015, early 2015, the city accepted it.
Oh, okay.
It was offered in 2014,
right.
But the city was kind of strapped for funds then.
Sure.
Things weren't really flush, I guess. So the city had to do some thinking and planning, and they did accept it in early 2015. And so it's been a progress ever since then to come along. And what the caveat of the gift was, it was more than a movie palace. It would do more than show film. It would be a live performance venue, which adds a lot to a renovation project.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not just a screen and some speakers, right?
I think it actually touches on your point, though, how like the movie kind of industry died a little bit, and then coming back from COVID, how is it surviving? I think that's probably like my favorite aspect of this project, is that it's not just solely going to be for movies. It's going to be live performing arts, concerts, conferences. You know, we could stream the Met Gala or something. You know, it's going to be open up a multitude of avenues. I mean, we have great performing arts centers within the city already. I just think this is going to offer another avenue and a different offering for cultural activities of that sort. So I think that's probably the most exciting part of it, that if one industry is kind of going through a moment or a downtime, we'll be able to step up with some other offerings in its place. So I think it's pretty exciting.
I think of, like, I guess high school plays, maybe the community theater to some degree.
Do a graduation.
Yeah, graduation. So how many people will it seat when it's completed?
I'm not going to give you an exact number.
Okay.
I don't know what it
estimate.
is. But I'm going to say maybe between 6 and 650. The original theater, if I remember right, was a little over 800 seats.
Wow.
So with the build out of the stage and our goal is to provide a little more comfort and personal space in the seating and not put people in like sardines.
Yeah.
It's a more comfortable experience. It won't be like recliners.
It will not have recliners. Yeah. That's probably the number one question on reclining seats. No.
Yeah. No reclining seats?
No. It's
maybe not, in the VIP. No.
It's not historically significant.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
when you rehabilitate a historic building, you have to work with the Historic Preservation Division in Santa Fe and maintain those things so when people walk in when we're open again, we want them to feel like it's 1951.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, they may be dressed different, but
right, probably much more casual actually. I don't think the suits and the ties come out for the movie theater anymore. Typically,
we might have to for opening night. I think that would be pretty cool themed.
Which one of you two know a little bit about the style of which this movie theater is? Right. So I was reading that it's very specifically international style, is what it says. Yeah,
and there's a little discussion in the architectural community about that, but it's a very simplistic style. It has simple lines. It's commonly referred to as a lunchbox theater because it's just a big rectangle. But the international and the modern in there, and when people get in there, they'll see it's not ornate like you would see either at the Lensic or the Chemo. And these theaters built in the 1920s, very ornate with gilding and all.
This is the beginning of the mid-century modern era for the U.S. when it came to this building being built. And so it kind of matches that style, especially with the neon, right?
Yeah, well, and the neon has, of course, been replaced with LED.
But that's everywhere now. It still looks neon.
The way it works. But the things that make this theater historic and that we've maintained, it has cry rooms.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say that again.
Cry rooms where people could take, let's say, a young person, a child who's unruly, and they could take it off to a room, much like you would have in a lot of churches.
Or an emotional adult who's affected by the performance.
Right. You never know.
You never know. So
there's no age limit, I guess. Yeah.
Right. If it moves, you cry, but go in that room.
But if it gets hysterical, you take it to the little room.
So that's very unique, and you don't see that in movie theaters.
No, not really.
It has murals that were original to the theater in 1951 by a guy named Zimmerman, if I remember right. And they're murals of the caverns that luminesce under black light. Check that out. Wow. It has cove lighting all around the theater that will change colors. So very unique. The tile work in the theater is unbelievable to me. It's amazing.
So are we keeping the original tile work? That's the goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there might be a couple that have to be replaced somewhere. Or
yeah, there's a few that'll be replaced that are gone. But
that you have to have permission from the Historical Society to replace to begin with, I believe.
Well, they just have guidelines, and we'll have to deal with that. You can't do everything. You can't do things that you just can't do. So
right.
It's adapting it. There'll be some accessibility issues that have been addressed, but we can't address all of them in a building that old.
Well, that's what I was reading about that. Like the bathrooms currently are not ADA compliant, or they're going to be ADA compliant by the end of phase 3 if you haven't gotten to that point already, because that was something that nobody thought or cared about back in 1951.
What we did is we added a restroom that did not exist that is ADA accessible. So we dealt with that, and we'll have specific seating areas for that are universally accessible. So.
Okay. Let's get into, real quick, or as much time as we'd like to take. Actually, let's get into, I understood there was 3 phases of the project, 5 phases now. Okay. That's why we're talking about it. So how many phases of the project do we have? And maybe we'll kind of talk a little bit about how our funding kind of came about, and then we'll end with the celebratory of how both of you were very critical in making sure we got that final push of funding as well.
You bet. Well, 2015, the city accepted the gift with the caveat that there would be no general fund money from the city expended on the rehabilitation of the theater.
Okay.
So that kind of tied one arm behind our back. So all the funding that's gone into it up to this date has been from lodger's tax.
Okay.
Which is heads in beds, generally tourists, people visiting the community. And we were very fortunate when the theaters really started to roll, our lodger's tax were really big. The oil boom was on.
Yeah.
The hotels were full. So it was really beneficial. So we've worked year to year in the city budget, taking a portion of those funds and putting it into the theater. So what did we do first? We had to deal with asbestos. We had to deal with a major pigeon problem because it had basically been a pigeon coop for years and years and years.
It's like in the rafters of the ceilings, like in between the roof and the Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
3-4 inches deep.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it was abandoned for how long? The pigeons made a home.
Yep. You bet. So the roof, the ceiling had to be removed. All the electricity's been redone. All the plumbing's been reworked. It has a total new roof. It has all new heating and cooling systems. There's been a lot of demolition, and now we're in phase 4 where we're just finished building the stage. The stage is completed. The projection room's completed. All the acoustic plaster that was removed because of asbestos has been replaced. It's been repainted. The sound booth has been built, and ADA seating has been established in the back of the theater. So it's been really, a lot's been done. It's all the infrastructure has been totally redone. The bones of the building were solid.
Great.
We have to have a fire suppression system.
Sure.
You have to do all those kinds of things. So phase 4 should wrap up this month. We're that close. Greer Construction, a local construction firm, has been our general contractor for all of the project up to this date. They've done a fantastic job. Larry Mitchell of Mitchell Cruz Architecture has been the architect on the project. Again, done a great job. Greer uses a lot of local contractors.
Right.
So much like the original construction, which was a lot done by local people, so is this rehabilitation. So we're proud that we're keeping a lot of that money in town.
Odd question. You probably don't know the answer to this, but the other very historic building in the downtown district area, right, in Carlsbad, Mainstreet area, besides the courthouse, which is also historic and unique to the state of New Mexico, is the Trinity Hotel and Restaurant. And I know that hotel and restaurant, the bricks were actually made in Eddy County.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So do you know if the bricks for the Cavern Theater were made in Eddy County?
I do not.
Okay.
But
that's a good one.
That would be interesting, I think.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were still making bricks in Eddy County in 1951 or from 1948 to 51, but in late 1800s they were, right? So I found that very interesting. I think it's like a really just nice little icing on the cake, if you will, when the idea of how local everything truly was. So I think that's obviously a really good thing, of course. Now, construction is always, we speak of construction in seasons, okay? Like we never say grand opening is going to be July 2024. We don't say those things because construction, you never know what you're going to find or what you're going to deal with. So can you give me a general idea of when we think we can have people in seats in the theater? Not going to hold you to it either. This is an approximate.
I was going to say, that was my caveat. If you don't hold me to it.
I'm not going to hold you to it. It's very approximate. Construction, you never know.
My optimistic belief is that by the end of 2024.
Great. That would be great.
Fall.
I mean, just imagine going to the Caverns as a family. You're visiting Carlsbad. You're looking for something to do in the evening, especially if you got younger kids, and there's a performance at the theater, this historic theater, which helps capture. I'm just envisioning being a family here and capturing the essence of Carlsbad now, as well as being able to capture what it used to be, and really just get both aspects of it.
Well, and it's also going to provide an opportunity for local artists and performers to use the theater. And then when you do that, then of course you bring all the families out. So the local dance teams that will want to use the facility, and community concerts association, doing local things, as well as bringing in performers from out of town and bringing people in from out of town to experience the performance in the theater. So
that would be a rocking place, like a concert, over 600 people in an evening, and the way that the acoustics are set up. And even though it seats quite a few people, there's a level of intimacy in those theaters that you don't necessarily get, and I would say in more modern day concert venues. I think it sounds really exciting to me. I think it sounds really great. How much money has this cost so far?
The city has a little over $5 million into it, which is a significant amount of money, and we need to take our hats off to the city for that commitment and seeing it through. But we're riding high right now because working with Angie Barrios Testa, the municipal services director in the city, and Kat and myself and Larry. We all participated in preparing that grant, and we got it. Wow.
Nice.
We can't stop smiling there.
Yep.
So we're fully funded.
So we got two pretty much back-to-back grants. Mainstreet through the New Mexico Mainstreet Capital Outlay Program. We got $350,000.
Okay.
But Angie said, I can do better. And we got $3.3 million through the Quality of Life DFA grant through the city. So that's just amazing we had the finish goal in line, but I mean, having the funding to get to the finish goal can actually put that realistic opening date.
Okay, I kind of felt a little like trepidation in your voice, if you will, because you were like, I got $350,000, and then they got $3 some million, but every dollar counts. It's just as important.
Every dollar counts.
It shouldn't be.
It's definitely not. Hey, that makes my job a lot easier because we were able to work together on both grants.
Wonderful.
So it helped. I mean, the city helped my application. So did Larry and Ken. We were able to kind of use all those numbers together. We're completely blessed to have received them both.
What about backstage? Right, you guys got you're redoing green rooms, dressing rooms. How's that working?
That is phase 6.
Okay, and now there's not funding for phase 6, right?
Phase 5 gets us operating and open.
Okay,
phase 6
would be an annex building where we would have dressing rooms and.
Okay. So there was never dressing rooms built in the building to begin with. It was just a movie theater at first, right? Yeah, there wasn't a performing arts area or something like that. No, that makes a lot of sense. So there's really not space for those for really that in the facility.
Right.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
We'll be able to improvise in the interim, but
do a few things, but we just want to get it open.
Yeah, right. And then you have the parking lot right next to it, which is also property that you own as well that can then be incorporated because there's so much parking downtown. And it's free. From larger cities, there's never free parking anywhere, so it's really great. And so the idea is that you probably have enough parking.
Right. And the majority of the shows and offerings will be in the evenings when regular business is kind of done for the day. So it definitely will optimize on parking and all of that.
Right. We're getting pretty close to time on this segment. We're definitely going to have you guys on again as it progresses. And then what I would like to do, and I'll make you guys promise me on the air right now about it, is I'm going to get a couple, we're going to get a couple wireless microphones, the technology that connects to your phone now or whatever, right? And I'd love to do like a walking tour of the theater and to see what we can do to get radio listeners to visualize what it looks like inside before it's completed, if you guys would be open to that.
Sure.
You bet.
Yep.
Anytime.
Hey, we'll wait till we get a little closer. Maybe when there's a chair in there or something,
And I should also say, Ken Britt has been amazing. I just since I've been in the position, I've called him countless times for tours at every phase, pretty much monthly. Last year and the previous year during our third Thursdays, we would open it for an hour, and I think we would have close to 80 people on a good night. So he's always open to bringing people in there, keeping the interest alive. The end is near. We're getting there.
That's when we should do it. We should do it on a Thursday. You have it open for the hour, right? Because you're going to be there already. We can get your perspective, but then I can also get.
Look, I just signed him up for this year.
Yeah,
third
thanks,
Thursday.
man.
No, it's been amazing.
I'm kind of like, don't ask to see a picture of my grandkids. Don't ask to see the
Ask
theater
to see,
because
yeah.
we're going to go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then I can get the perspective of just residents and community members seeing it for the first time as well.
Sure. Any opportunity we can get different groups and people in there. It's amazing.
So, Kat, we're gonna finish. We're gonna go to you, then we're gonna finish with Ken. And the question that I have for you is, what is the one thing? I mean, I know you guys are both passionate about downtown, the Arts District, as well as the Cavern Theater. There's no question. It's obvious. You don't work that hard for funding if you're not passionate about it, right? What is it about the Cavern Theater for you that brings out the passion for you in the theater? And then, Ken, it's going to be the same question for you after Kat.
I think for me, it's just my love for performing arts. I'm honestly, I'm not a movie buff, or I haven't even been to a regular movie theater in like 5 years. Don't shoot me.
Well, you're forgiven for a couple of them.
I'm forgiven, yeah. But just the fact being able to be a part of something that will be long lasting for this community, long after Ken's with us, long after I'm here. I'm not saying we're going anywhere, but
Right.
I think having like a long lasting impact and being a part of that, and just being able to bring new and different cultural offerings to our community, that's really where my passion is with it, is for the live performance aspect.
All right, Ken?
I just see it as a community gathering place to enrich the lives of our visitors and our citizens, and you do that through art and cultural experiences. Quality of life is kind of what I've dedicated my life to, and whether it's been the outdoors in state parks or downtown, when families can come together and have a entertainment cultural experience. So
yeah, well, these cultural icons and these locations in every community are incredibly important, and so kudos to the family that donated to the city. Kudos to the city for taking it, knowing that it was going to be a significant investment, because the community would be hurt quite a bit if we didn't have that theater. I mean, I think it's just safe to say we don't want the history to be erased. There was a period in our country where tearing down stuff was the coolest thing that could happen, and it's happened in Carlsbad before with the old hotel where O'Reilly's is, which probably would be an amazing thing if it was still here. Of course, everything involves funding and everything involves money. And so sometimes when if a building has to go and nobody wants to step up and do it, then that happens. But it's important that we prevent these things. And so kudos to the city, kudos to both of you for bringing this project almost all the way through fruition, minus a couple of dressing rooms. But otherwise, over time, we'll be just fine, That was a good closing statement. The next time we do, we'll do an in-person one where we'll walk around, kind of describe what we're seeing. And then I also will want to do one about the logistics of how it's going to operate once it's open. Is it going to be city run? Is it going to be run by Mainstreet? Is there going to be an independent group? There's obviously going to be a board to some degree. All the governmental logistics that go into these type of things, I'm very interested in myself. The minutia, if you will, I really do enjoy. So I'd like to get into all of that so people understand how the funding will work, breaking even, all that good stuff. I'm just interested in that in general. So anybody that's listening also gets to be interested. So, all right. I mean, we're good. Anything else, guys?
thank you, Johnny, for
thanks for
helping
having
us
us.
spread the word.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys finding the time. It'll be online. We'll post it on Facebook when this airs, because we do pre-record this by just a couple of days, and you'll be able to listen to it as a podcast as well if you wanted later. So thank you both for being here. Kat Davis, Carlsbad Mainstreet Executive Director. Kent Britt, we're just going to sum up you as an amazing community member.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.